Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to have a look at some old footage where I was trying to deal with a stability issue with the amplifier. I've encountered this with all of my amplifier builds to one degree or another. With this one though, this was quite challenging, and the cause of the problem eventually turned out to be something I've not encountered before. So, onwards. So what we're looking at there, we're monitoring the screen grid supply voltage. What I'm doing at the moment, I'm just waiting till the valves start warming up. And the valve should be starting to warm up now. I'll take it up the rest of the way. Right. I don't know if you can hear that. Right, as you can see, it's gone unstable. So the next morning now, when I've just got a bodged up grid 2 regulator in inverted commas. It's just basically bridge rectifier, cap, potentiometers to set the gate on a MOSFET, and that's it. That's a little bit more stable. We're running on lower than normal voltage here at the moment. Just turn it up a bit. It's ticking again. Right, and I've got the scope on the grid of the, it's the output stage going into the, what do you call it, the going into the phase splitter. So we've got a problem there. So it looks like, let me turn it off. It looks like that the low frequency oscillation is caused by our previous stages, possibly. Although we're not entirely certain about that. So I'm going to do some more investigating. Okay, I put a low pass shelving filter going into the phase splitter, and at the moment I'm monitoring the anode of one of the output valves. As you can see, it's sort of going up and down, and it's like static. I'll see if you can hear this. So I did wonder if it's trying to break into high frequency oscillation but not quite managing it. Well, I kind of cracked it. I had to think about this, went out for a ride on push bike, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at moving the grounds. That's always a potential area, a problem area of instability. So I've done that. And it had stopped it for a little while, and now I can hear it ticking again. Oh well, back to the drawing board. One thing, look at the HT, the B+. It's going down, up, down, up, down, so I'm going to get the scope on that in a minute. I turned away to look at the scope trace, look back, and there's smoke pouring out of this screen grid resistor here. I have a feeling it's just this one valve here. So I'm going to look into this further. Why is that one valve unstable? It's odd. I'm going to go and check all my connections. That could also be a possibility if I've got a loose connection. At this point I really should have started to get my thinking cap on and to think of all the possible causes of the instability. The main culprit could be the power supply, and I did go into working out the resonant frequency response of the power supply and trying to rectify any possible defects with that by putting in resistors and things of that nature. However, that didn't work, so I continued to flounder around a bit, as you can see, trying to check voltages and things of that nature. Right, here we are, the next day. I'm just turning up I'm bringing up the amplifier on a variac, hopefully you can see that. This is what I'm seeing on the control grids of the output valves. and we're getting none of that instability. Yesterday it was going all over the place. So I got my thinking cap on overnight. See, everything's stable. And so what I did, I took out the output valves, tried this stage without that, without the output valves, it was okay. Put the output valves in, it was okay. And then it started clicking. So then what I did, I took out this ECC83, ECC82 and ECC82 that's the tone control and gain stage. Everything was fine, and everything is fine. And we've got an ECC82. All this is doing, this is just a cathode follower on the input. I'll put that in, watch. There we go. Instability. This cathode follower is causing the problem. I'm not sure why, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all the other valves out and just have a look at this stage on its own in isolation. Well, I think I've fixed it. I've rebiased this cathode follower, which was causing the issue. This was causing all the instability. For some reason, when powering up, I think it was trying to bias itself, and so we had that up and down, so you can see better there, up and down sort of oscillation, low frequency oscillation. Right, so that's the meter, that's just monitoring. Now you see I spoke too soon because it's going into oscillation, I think. Right, well the bias has gone down, this is odd. Right, where we are at present with this amplifier, it's been giving me a load of jip this last week. So what it's doing is going unstable. Prototype worked as it was with just the cathode followers, phase splitter and common cathode triode gain stage. Introducing this has added a bit of complexity anyway, as mentioned. I've got a few ideas after consulting various lads on various forums. One is the power supply is resonant at 3.8 Hertz, meaning if we have any instability it's just going to naturally bounce about at that frequency. It's been suggested that I put a 100 ohm resistor in series, like after the cap, and or a big capacitor. Having worked out the sort of capacitor I need, the only thing I've got that is relevant is this, which is a 4700 mic 400 volt cap. The sort of value I need is 3400. As you can see, that isn't really going to work, is it? And it's only rated for 400 volts, we're a bit above there. So that's been suggested. I tried that damping with a 100 ohm resistor and a few other values yesterday, that didn't work. The other thing that's been suggested is to regulate the input stage, and the other thing, which I think sounds more likely, is to sort out the decoupling, because what I've got at the moment, I've got the cathode follower with an individual decoupling stage, the phase splitter with an individual decoupling, but the input and the input and the tone control, which I think is altogether four sort of triode stages, has only got one decoupling stage. So that's something to look at. So let's have a look at the problem. So at the moment, this here, hope you can see that, that's our bias going to our output valves. What I'm doing, I'm bringing it up to 150 volts on the AC, mains AC. Wait until that starts to drop, which means the heaters are warmed up. I shall add a delayed start at some point, but for now it's manual. See, that's starting to drop now, so valves are warm, current's flowing, then I just pop it up all the way. Now you see how that's going up and down? Let me just, right, can you see that? One of them is going up and down. Now that is A, and that is our power supply. The other one, if you can see, is doing it a little bit. Right, I'm going to switch off. So what's happening is the common triode gain stage, for some reason that's going unstable. So it's like it's trying to start up. It's trying to self-bias, but it isn't. So what's happening, the current is going up and down and the anode voltage is going up and down. As a result, every valve stage further on down in, all the way to the output stage, is also going up and down. And then that means that the bias on the output valves is also going up and down, meaning that it's going to stop pulling heavy current through the power supply. So let's try a bit of decoupling. Let's try decoupling some of these tone control stages and what have you, and see if that improves. In the end, I solved the issue by adding more HT decoupling stages. So whereas we had one decoupling stage for about 4 different stages, like the cathode follower, etc., in the tone section before, when we had the instability, we've got 3. I'll show you that in on a bit of paper in a minute. The other thing I did was to change the ground bus grounding, and then there was a few other minor issues that I did, which is basically rejigging the tone control and whereabouts the volume control came in relation to the tone control and the rest of the amplifier. So if we just go and have a look at this hastily scrawled bit of paper here. So when we had our instability issues, we had this sort of McGubbins. So we've got a drop-in resistor there, a decoupling cap, and then we had all our stages. So we had our sort of common triode gain stage, and then this comprises the tone control section here, and that is comprised of a cathode follower, high gain stage, and a cathode follower. Obviously there's a lot more circuitry there, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. So to solve that, I decoupled the stages a hell of a lot more. So we've got decoupling, and we've got the common triode gain stage, more decoupling for the cathode follower, and then the last stage of decoupling for the high gain of the tone control and the cathode follower of the tone control. That, and together with rejigging the grounding of the rest of the circuit and the output valves, helped too. So before we had this sort of McGubbins here. This is our main common ground, which corresponds to here. So this is like a main sort of store ground, and our main capacitor, etc. And so we had the output stage, and then we had the rest of the amplifier there. So what is happening there, we've got all this heavy current from the output stage going into this ground bus and affecting the rest of the circuit, the rest of the amplifier, you know, the rest of the circuitry downstream, as it were. So I changed that to this, which is what it should have been, which is the output stage there going straight to our big main capacitor, and then the rest of the sort of circuitry after the output stage. So we've got all that heavy current going into the ground there, and then this is less, this is a hell of a lot less. So you know, you're talking about like say 80 milliamps there, and you're only talking what, 10 milliamps at the most there. And then the last thing I did, which was to rearrange the order of the various components of the tone control stage. So what I think I had was, originally I had a volume control, tone control, and then I sort of had our triode gain stage. So what I did, I swapped those round, so volume, tone, gain stage, let's call that. So what I did, I got the tone control, put that first, so there's our input going in. That went into, our volume control, and then onto our gain stage. And that's sort of the signal flow. So that's dealing with the issue on several fronts at once, and it was stable for a while, and then I built the other side, and then we got into a whole new set of problems, mainly due to with a bit of idiocy on my part and other stuff, but all that's to come. Yeah, we're not done yet. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you're all okay out there. Take care of yourselves, and ta-ra for now.